hell no. I ain't listening to nobody's shit. Alexa, turn that shit off. Alexa, turn it off, bitch. Alexa, turn that fucking shit off. Alexa, stop. Hey, you stupid bitch. Alexa, you stupid bitch, can you stop it? I'm taking your ass back to the fucking store. Stupid eyes, you're just like Jake. You don't know when the fuck to stop. Motherfucker.
So, it finally has come to this in the 2020s, with more sequels, spin-offs, remakes, reboots of old films, and milking franchises like the MCU and Star Wars, turning it into pig slop. What world do we even live in? The 2020s overall is by far, if not one of the worst decades I've ever seen and lived through. And it's where I noticed since COVID-19 has somewhat passed, and now I see that there has been some problems throughout the 2020s in terms of media like movies, TV shows, and video games, and some comics as well. I've seen Hollywood having to rely more on sequels, spin-offs, remakes, reboots, or continuations of popular franchises once beloved, now a former shell of itself, like the MCU, Star Wars, DC, the Fast and the Furious franchise, Jurassic Park's pointless sequels and spin-offs, Ghostbusters, the John Wick spin-offs, Quiet Place films, the Disney live-action remakes that no one asked for, anime adaptations that ruin source material without understanding what makes the manga and anime good in the first place, Nickelodeon animated film properties based on popular IPs like SpongeBob, Danny Phantom, and Jimmy Neutron, pointless Pixar sequels that no one asked for, etc. Films and shows like this is driving Hollywood down to the ground. A lot of people, including myself, are getting sick and tired of pointless sequels, continuations, spin-offs, reboots, and remakes. It are pretty obvious that this year is the worst year for film releases, particularly franchise release stuff, like Captain America Brave New World, the god-awful Snow White remake, War of the Worlds remake, Thunderbolts, aka the knockoff Avengers, Daredevil Born Again, Marvel Zombies, 28 Days Later, Alien Earth, The Last of Us Season 2, Wicked 2, a new Predator film, Jurassic World Reshit, Smurfs, Fantastic Four, First Steps, James Gunn's Superman, Happy Gilmore 2, Freaky Friday 2, Tron Ares, the awful live-action Lilo and Stitch remake, How to Train Your Dragon live-action remake, and the new Conjuring film. Do you see the trend of these releases now? Hollywood relying on more popular IP franchises or nostalgic IPs to make the quick bucks, rather than relying on original films or movies with original and unique concepts. The films with original and unique concepts I'm talking about are these films: Transformers 1 and Godzilla Minus One. Even though both films are based on popular IPs, they both had unique and original stories to tell. Transformers 1 was about the origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron before they became the hero and the villain that we all know today. It does a great job on setting on the story and having relate to the characters and their struggles. Orion Pax was a young and ambitious bot who wanted to prove, despite being a cogless bot, that he and the other cogless bots could be more than just minor bots. D16, on the other hand, just wanted to live by the rules because he thinks that when you follow rules and regulations, nothing bad would happen. Until when Orion, B, Elita, and D16 found out about the truth of Sentinel and his plan and deal with the Quintessons, it leads to D16 to a dark and dangerous path. He becomes a violent tyrant throughout the film. It's too bad that the film bombed at the box office and didn't make as much money as Paramount and Hasbro expected it would, mainly due to poor marketing. This film had suffered with its trailers and not too much advertisement to the film and its merchandise, and plans for a potential trilogy for this film would be cancelled after the film's box office failure, but the film did receive great reviews by fans and critics, saying that it's the best Transformers film ever made. Godzilla Minus One, on the other hand, is a film that does the blockbuster popular franchise done right, whereas other popular and nostalgic franchises have failed to understand a franchise and use concept and tools of the franchise. The film had an emotional showdown between Koichi and the people of Operation Waratatsumi against Godzilla. The film did a great job on showing the traumatic experiences of the aftermath of the destruction of Japan after World War II, and even having regular people instead of the army to kill Godzilla, and seeing how the aftermath of the destruction of Japan being in ruins after World War II, Koichi needing to deal with being a disgraceful kamikaze pilot, rebuilding his life by gaining a family, that being Noriko and the adopted daughter Akiko. They would later fall apart after being affected of the destruction from Godzilla. The film overall knows what it was doing. It pulls it off with a unique and original story, and knowing the source material of Godzilla and how he is supposed to be portrayed as a monstrous, destructive villain, and having well-written, likable characters as well. Some things that I've seen Hollywood failing at with all their films, including their popular IPs and such. Back in the early 2010s, I've seen people predicting the future of beloved and nostalgic IPs, like a YouTuber by the name of Sean McDougall, who did a video about the problems with franchises back in 2013. If you want to watch the video for yourself, I'll leave the link in the description down below. Back in 2013, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas had predicted that Hollywood would just give up on original ideas and produce nothing but huge blockbuster popular IP franchise films, and the future of the film industry would be nothing but nostalgia exploitation.
There's going to eventually be an implosion, or a big meltdown. There's going to be an implosion where 3 or 4, or maybe even a half a dozen of these mega budgeted movies are going to go crashing into the ground, and that's going to change the paradigm again.
And then what does the world look like after that?
Well, like 2008. We will come back from it, that's what I mean.
But
What you're going to end up with is fewer theaters, bigger theaters, with a lot of nice things. Going to the movies, it's going to cost you $50, maybe 100, maybe 150.
Like Broadway costs today.
Yeah, it's like Broadway or going to, a football game. It's going to be an expensive thing. The movies are going to be these big ticket items because people will still take their chances, and they will sit in the theaters for a year, just like a Broadway show does, and that's going to be what we call the movie business. But everything else is going to look more like cable television on TiVo, which is there's great programming, usually more interesting than what you're going to see in the movie theater. And you can get it whenever you want, and it's going to be niche marketed, which means, you can really take chances and do things if you can figure there's a small group of people that will kind of react to this. And then it's really a matter of marketing, which is the biggest issue, just to make sure that people know you're there. But otherwise, and of course with the internet, the way all the future of communications and everything is, there's a whole process for doing that now. So it's basically going to be what used to be the movie business, which I include as television and movies. It was the movie, but now it's going to be the television business, which actually has nothing to do with television anymore.
Content business.
It's not going to have cable or broadcast. It's going to be the internet television.
Well, it's all the same after even the window is so narrow. Movies go on television in hotels within 2 weeks of their initial theatrical runs. It used to be, when I first started making movies, it was really cool. My movie stayed in theaters for 1 year. If it was a hit, it was a year long. Raiders was in theaters for a year. E.T. was in theaters for a year and 4 months. And I can't believe that I can actually remember those days. That was an amazing situation back then. But now, there's going to be eventually day and date with movies. And eventually, there's going to be a price variance for you're going to have to pay $25 to see the next Iron Man, and you're probably only going to have to pay $7 to see Lincoln.
But I know I can't release them. This is why. Well, because if I make a movie for $1 million, it's still going to cost me $10 or $15 million to market it. Yeah. I'm not going to spend 15. I know I'm going to lose money at it because nobody's going to want to see the movie anyway. So why would I spend another $15 million on something.
We got you covered.
Yeah, on something that's yeah. Well, I don't see you running out to go see Tetro or anything, or Youth Without Youth. But the thing is, the issue is that you're going to be able to make these movies, and eventually, you can put them on the internet and everything, but you're not going to make any money at it. So the monetizing issue is still a big deal, and you have to be able to see where your market is. I mean, I already know I'm making it for a minuscule market. And that's why I'm doing it, because I don't have to worry about if it's entertaining or if it's anything. And it's my choice. But at the same time, people are going to be able to have options.
Yeah,
and those movies are, unfortunately, the options for interesting movies are going to be on television, or as we know, or in the home. Let's not say television, say in the home. But I defy people who live in a hole or something. You can take some of the best cable shows, and you can take some of the best movies, and you can put them on the screen together, and nobody can tell the difference. Television competes with movies.
Look at the current state of Hollywood right now. While we did have original films like Colors Within, Sinners, K-pop Demon Hunters, and the upcoming Shelby Oaks film directed by none other than Chris Stuckman, still, we see Hollywood still producing hot and cheap nostalgic garbage that no one in the theater is watching, and they are still going to produce more blockbuster franchise and nostalgic IPs for next year and the future, like The Mandalorian and Grogu, Avengers Doomsday, Toy Story 5, another Masters of the Universe film, another garbage Disney live-action remake, Shrek 5, Coco 2, Incredibles 3, more Star Wars films, Avengers Secret Wars, Devil Wears Prada 2, The Simpsons Movie 2, and so much more garbage. Hollywood nowadays doesn't seem to take more ambition on new or original ideas that aren't from any popular franchises or nostalgic IPs, or writing beloved characters as well, and making carbon copies of characters we all like from previous establishments from other franchises. Like how Rey is a failed copy of Luke Skywalker, only she has no flaws and knows how to use the Force without any training whatsoever and no character development and have no flaws in general. She's supposed to have character development and is supposed to have flaws like with all characters in fiction. The new MCU characters unfortunately aren't as good as the original characters from the Infinity Saga. They have zero character development, and some don't do anything other than being there for fan service or being a MacGuffin for the story. The MCU also puts fan-favorite characters and comic book references and ruining characters we loved from the Infinity Saga like Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, Wanda, Vision, Black Widow, Maria Hill, Thor, Hulk, Ant-Man, Wong, Wasp, and Hank Pym. Ruined. Everything of what we liked them as characters is completely gone. The MCU is a huge dumpster pile after the Infinity Saga wrapped up because they think that they couldn't do all wrong, even though that the Multiverse Saga felt more like an afterthought, unlike the Infinity Saga, which was planned out pretty well. The Multiverse Saga was planned out pretty poorly, feeling more of an afterthought rather than a well-planned saga. I will talk more about it in my Downfall of MCU video essay. Hollywood would just keep making more and more and more dumpster franchise films and shows until they lose more of their audience. Hollywood would probably end up being remembered as a chaotic and messy production workplace.